I figure since this is kind of turning into a more than just a 60-second thing, I should probably just record a small video and post that up there, see how it does, see if you guys actually watch it all the way through. So, this is kind of what I'm going to go for here. Central banks are already predicting that it's going to be that we're going to go into another recession, which, like, we're not already in one. Like, gas prices have gone up over the past year. They came down a little bit, but they're still way higher than they were back before Biden got into office. Inflation is still running rampant. And you know that because if you got a credit card, you're paying absolutely just completely and utterly felonious amounts of interest. I mean, it's got to be the world's largest ring of grand larceny, you know, because honestly, it's downright theft at this point. And then, you work as many hours as you can, because this year I've worked a lot of hours, and it's like one of my first videos that I started posting up here a few months back. Um, $25 an hour. I'm putting in 60, 70 hours a week, and I'm struggling more now than when I was earning 20 or 19. $19 an hour. I wasn't struggling as bad as I am now. So if that tells you anything, and that's just food costs. I mean, yeah, we pay everything else, our house payment, car payment, all that stuff. And back then we had two car payments. I finally paid my truck off, so I mean, there's $300 a month I don't got to worry about paying. And we were also buying a new fridge and stove at that point. We're still paying on the stove, but we paid the fridge off. We were buying our new bed. That's already paid off. We've only got one extraneous bill, well, two extraneous bills beyond things that we need for our house. And that's the phones and the cable. That's it. That's literally all we got. And neither one of them are extremely huge bills or anything like that. Heck, even our stove payment's only like $50 a month. But it's just like, Jesus, how can I be earning so much, working so hard, and still struggling? Like, I'm only earning $10 an hour. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I know what the reasons are for all this and why, but at the same time, I don't understand why. I don't understand why everybody thinks that we just have to take their word for it, that our money is so worthless now. And the reason why I say that is because they're the ones that have been printing money for the last 10 years. Well, maybe it's time that they go away permanently, never to return. Like the banking systems, the central banks. Like the whole reason why we are in this pickle right now is because banks are centralized. What happens when things get centralized? They get disconnected from what they're trying to help, right? Banks were trying to help people save their money up so that way they could have better prosperity. That was the whole reason for banks. It was the whole reason for a banking system in this country was for the whole fact that we're a capitalist nation and banks are generally speaking a good thing when they're ran correctly. Okay, they can help people make money because of loans and all this other stuff. You know, those kinds of interest rates are generally speaking good because one, that makes it so that way the people that facilitate the loan can get paid money, and the people that are loaning that are being loaned that have their money being loaned out to others are also getting a little bit of return too. It's called a mutual investment. So that kind of stuff is okay. But when the banks start printing money, and because of that inflation, and inflation means the value of your dollar gets smaller. I really wish they would stop trying to say inflation, all inflation this, inflation that. It's actually desecration essentially. They're crapping all over our money because it makes that money less valuable. So they're really crapping on it. They're not inflating anything except for the supply. That's why it's called inflation, is because the supply of money is becoming inflated like a balloon. They're just propping it up with hot air. So at this point, I don't see that there's a reason for the banks to exist anymore until they can get their heads wrapped around the idea that they're here to serve us. Just like the government's here to serve us. It's not the other way around. Maybe if we were living in a communist society or an authoritarian dictatorship, then maybe it might be that way, but we don't live there. And people who say, "Well, we've gotten there." Yeah, well, you know what? There's a problem with that. And there's a real quick way to fix it too. Because their rule of government is starting to really offend me. And why is it that we keep on hearing about how people's opinions are offensive, so they need to stop it or they need to change? Well, you know what? I ain't changing nothing because I'm the one that's offended right now because my government is being ran by idiots. And they are entrusting our nation's financial assets to another pack of idiots that are even moronic than the ones who are entrusting it to them. Because they're the people who got us into this mess. 15 years ago, when they started overinflating everything because of a war. We should have just defaulted on that war and then not sold off the oil rigs and just kept the oil rigs for ourselves, because honestly, that might have benefited us a bit more than what we're dealing with now. I mean, I hate to say it like that. I hate to say that we'd run ourselves like a kleptocracy, but in that particular instance, I think that might have been smarter. 2020 hindsight being what it is, and I wasn't even old enough to vote on it yet. I mean, I was, but not mentally. I had no idea what was going on. But the big banks, they're the whole reason why we're in this mess. So why are we trusting them to run anything, including a new Fed currency that's completely digitized? No, I don't think so. You've already proven that you don't know how to run anything financial. Why should you run anything else? Like, I could do a better job at it. I'm just struggling right now because I don't make enough money. Apparently. Or my money just doesn't go far enough in actuality. I've been running this household pretty darn tight the last 5 years. We haven't really bought anything extra. Yeah, we have all that stuff up on the wall over there, all the really nice things that we have around this house. Most of those were just given to us because we can't afford to buy anything. So, enough of me complaining. But that's why Big Brother government is the biggest problem that any of us face right now, because they're the ones that are just blindly following what the banks tell them to do. And I think we need to jump on the bandwagon of telling them no. Bad dog. Go sit in your doghouse for a while, kind of thing. Might be a good thing to do if we just start telling the government to piss off.